Okay. If anyone knows the pain of being on immunosuppressants, you know what I'm going through right now. I woke up with like scratchy cough, scratchy throat, worst night's sleep of my life, and now I know that I'm going to be like battling this cold for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So welcome to this video, or welcome to my channel. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this video yet, where I'm going to put it, but regardless, welcome. My name is Charlie, and I have been recently through a really traumatic, not too dramatic, health journey. A huge change in my health has happened recently in the past year, and I wanted to start like a series of videos, I guess, just showcasing life after that. I know that when I first got diagnosed, I got diagnosed with MS like a year ago, or a year and a half ago maybe. When I first got diagnosed, I had like nowhere to turn on the internet space. I felt like every video I saw was just completely about how MS had kind of ruined people's lives or shaped it for the worse. I felt like I was just consuming really negative content, and so I took myself away from YouTube and Instagram completely. And yeah, I just know that when I was going through it, when I was so confused and lost and just really alone and struggling mentally, one thing I could have used that would have been extremely helpful was a person online that I could relate to, that was showing that life is okay after a diagnosis, and you can go on to achieve amazing things and to do amazing things and to live the life you always wanted to live. And it's taken me a while, but I think that I've got there. I think we all have like desires and callings for a certain reason. I definitely had a kind of desire to share my story, just because of how deeply impacted I was when I first got diagnosed, of not having anywhere to turn and just feeling so alone and not being able to relate to anyone. And the people that I could relate to that were going through a similar health journey to me, they weren't sharing the normal parts of their life, if that makes sense. So they were sharing all the hospital appointments and all the downsides that come with MS, which is arguably quite a lot, but they weren't also showing like how their life also is normal, and they're still carrying on, and they're still going out to dinner and meeting friends and pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. They weren't showing that side of it, and so I just felt so alone because I didn't want to relate to people who weren't showing that side of it. I didn't want to relate to people who only focused on the hospital appointments and the bad side of things, because I want to see the good side of things. I want to know that there's a way out. And when I first got diagnosed, I was so convinced that that was kind of the end of my life as I knew it. And I was like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm going to die soon. Maybe I'm never going to be able to meet someone. I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have kids. I'm never going to be able to move country again. I'm never going to be able to move out of my hometown. And I was just so sad because I just couldn't see any way out. And there was I just didn't have like that guiding light to be like, things are going to be fine and everything's okay because I've done it and I'm okay still. You know, like no one was traveling and then being like, but I also have a mess. For me as well, podcast, YouTube videos, online things have always been a place that I go to escape. And if I need guidance on something, if I need to get some wisdom from someone, if I want to live vicariously through someone, I want to see what trip someone's taken, I love just delving into a podcast or a YouTube video or a YouTube series. I love doing that and relating to those people and wanting to aspire to be like them or have the life that they're living. And when I got diagnosed, I felt like that was ripped from under me and I couldn't relate to anyone. I couldn't watch any podcasts anymore. I literally couldn't. If someone didn't have the same health journey as me, if they hadn't been through a health crisis, I just felt like I wasn't even worthy of like watching their videos, because there's no way I would ever be able to do the things that they're doing or be like them. And so in turn, my emotional outlet, my emotional escape, which was always like podcasts and YouTube videos, weren't there anymore because I didn't have anyone to relate to that made me feel good, that made me feel positive. And it was so awful because I didn't want to talk to my friends, I didn't want to talk to anyone. And so I wanted to find a podcast that was by someone, that was hosted by someone that was going through a health journey, but was also talking about like, hey, I'm going through this health journey, yeah, I'm acknowledging it, but I'm still fine, I'm doing okay. And I couldn't find that anywhere. And then the other day I found someone after like a year and a half of searching who had like a YouTube channel and then had got diagnosed with MS, made a video about it, and then continued to kind of acknowledge it slightly, but also showcase her life and that she was living her life. And it filled me with so much positivity. And even though I've kind of gotten over the fact that, you know, like I'm not going to die and life does go on and I can still do amazing things, it was still so refreshing to see her content and to be like, wow, like she's still doing that, she's living, like look at all the things that she's achieving, and she's got the thing that I've got, and she's still like going out there and doing everything. And it was so just like inspirational almost. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of create a similar space like that, I guess, because when I first got diagnosed, I was so alone and so sad, and I didn't have anywhere to turn to. And I would have just loved so much to stumble upon a YouTube video where someone was like me, early 20s, a young girl, I was diagnosed at 22, who knows all the struggles that I'm going through and is showing me that things are okay though, like life does go on. Because yeah, I think when you first get that harrowing news, you just can't see past it. Like it took me ages to like see past the next day, the next week, the next month, whereas now I can finally see, like I can plan things for the future again, whereas it took me like months and months to finally understand that like I was going to be okay and I could start planning for the future again. And so seeing someone doing that online would have been so amazing. What if I could even help one person who's just been diagnosed, show them that life is going to be okay, and that like things do get better, and you can still have these like amazing goals and aspirations and achieve them even with a diagnosis, then that would just be amazing. So I think when I got diagnosed, I was like, I'm not worthy of these things anymore. Like I don't deserve any of these things. Like there's no way I could ever travel the world again or move to a different country, which is what I'm currently doing. I live in Australia at the moment, and I'm from the UK. Used to live in Bali, and then I moved back to the UK. I've been like traveling around Europe. I've like done all these things that when I first got diagnosed were out of the question. I was like, I'm never going to be able to do that, and I'm just going to have to deal with it. But I'm here to tell you that like you can do that, and you can get your life back on track, and you can still achieve all the things you wanted to achieve. You can do all the things you wanted to do, regardless of this like big roadblock that's in the way. And yeah, if I just had someone tell me that or show me that from the early stages of my diagnosis, I think it would have been a lot easier on my mental state, because it was so tough. Yeah, I just said to myself when it all first happened that if I ever had the strength to get over this mentally and physically, that I would be that person for someone else, that I would just showcase my story and show them that things are okay and they are going to get better. And yeah, especially for me, I love traveling. I love moving around the world and doing different things. And even though it's been a bit harder, obviously, because NHS is so amazing, moving that kind of to Australia has been a bit harder, but I've been able to do it. And to be able to show someone how I've been able to do that so that they can still do it with MS or with another chronic illness would be super cool. And I just want to help someone because I really needed that help when I first got diagnosed, and I still do now. Even finding accounts now that are really positive influences on me, I love. And so yeah, to be that to someone else would just be super cool. I guess I'll share my story of like how everything happened, just on this channel, because I feel like it's needed for context. And then going forward, we're just going to share life things, really real, raw things. And yeah, my story, how it all started. I'll try and keep it as short as possible because, like I said, I don't want to dwell on it. It's not the most like fun story ever. So I was living in Bali for 2 years, and I had never ever had any problems with my health. I've always been very health conscious, always gone to the gym multiple times a week. And March 2021, everything just started kind of going wrong really slowly. I started losing my hair rapidly and was like falling out in clumps. And then like May time, I got a really bad bout of vertigo, which is so awful and was so awful. And every time I moved my head, the world would just spin and I would throw up, and it was just so horrible. And I couldn't really do many things alone because I couldn't really see straight. I couldn't walk straight. I was living in Bali, so I was like riding a bike. I couldn't do that, so I couldn't really get around anywhere. And I ended up getting my ears syringed because I had no idea what was going on. And that kind of helped actually. My ears were like full of wax, which is kind of gross, but they were. And then that kind of helped. A month after that, or 2 months after that, I was house sitting for a friend, and I was eating an orange, and I was staring at the orange, and it looked like really off color. And in my left eye, it was like completely vibrant, and in my right eye, it was grey. Yeah, I was like staring at this orange as one does. And yeah, my right eye, I never really got the vision back fully, and so I always have to check which eye it was. And so yeah, my right eye, everything I could see out of it was grey, and out of my left eye, it was completely normal vision. And then from that timestamp, over the next 24 hours, my vision just like got so bad. And my whole vision was super overexposed. I could only see like white out of my right eye, and it was so painful to look up, down, left, right. It was just like the most painful thing ever, just like shooting pains to the back of my eye, and the whole right side of my face just ached so bad. Like it just felt like a really bad sinus infection, but only on the right side of my face. It was awful. One of those people that doesn't really go to the doctors much, and I was FaceTiming my mum, crying, being like, I've gone blind in one eye, I don't know what to do. She was like, if there's any reason to come home, like this is it. So I booked a flight home, and I was like, yeah, within a week I was home, and I actually had plans to move to Australia that following month. So I had to cancel everything, fly home, and then I had multiple MRIs. I had a spinal tap, which was just like the worst thing in the whole wide world. And yeah, then I got my diagnosis, and it was awful. I rejected it for so long. I was in denial. I went to the worst place I've ever been mentally, and I've always been really, like, I've always bounced back. I've always been really resilient mentally. I've never struggled with mental health, luckily. And yeah, it really proved to me how real like mental health issues are. And even though physically it was really tough as well, because I was like recovering my eyesight and things were just going wrong left, right, and center. Also mentally, I didn't want to talk to anyone. Like I said, I literally could not like listen to any podcast, watch any YouTube videos. I didn't want to talk to my friends. I didn't want to talk to my family. I just wanted to be alone because no one knew what I was going through. And I couldn't relate to anyone online. I couldn't relate to anyone, or not anyone that I wanted to relate to anyway. At that stage, like when people were sharing their journey of like going to the hospital every week and doing this, I was like, I don't want that, because I'm in denial. I want to be able to see what life is like after you've like jumped over all these hurdles, which is basically now. I wanted to see what life would be like now for me, because when I first got diagnosed, there was no way out. I was like, I can't see past the next week, let alone the next year. I was like, it was just really scary. I was just in a really bad place, and time has gone on and gone on and gone on since then, and acceptance has come. I've been able to tell more people. I've been able to be more open about it. I've been able to go on the drug. I only started that like 3 months ago, so I started that really late because I was a pretty like natural and like holistic person, I guess. And so I was trying to heal it just with like a diet, and that was becoming really hard because I wasn't eating out, I wasn't going out with my friends because I didn't want to eat anything that wasn't cooked by me, that wasn't like super organic. And so I was kind of living this life that was just full of restriction, and it wasn't nice and it wasn't good. And I've now shown myself that I can control it and be in a good place with my health while also enjoying myself, and not restricting. And I'm not like, I still eat a very like controlled diet, and I try to be as healthy as possible, but I found that balance now, which was really missing for a huge part of my journey. And I definitely just feel the best I've ever felt. And the fact that I'm able to move out of the UK, which was somewhere that I really didn't want to be, like luckily we had the NHS there anyway. But yeah, I wanted to move to Australia for so long, and obviously that got postponed when everything happened. So like a year later, I think it was exactly a year later, I was able to move to Australia, and I've just never been happier. And that's so crazy to hear me say out loud, because when everything first happened, like I was like, I'm never going to be happy again. I'm never going to be content again. Nothing's ever going to be okay again, because my life has been ripped from under me, and things are okay, and I'm doing amazing, and things are great. And yeah, I'm just like, things are going to be okay. And there's still so many hurdles that I'm yet to come over and yet to face, and still some blocks mentally that I need to get over. But I know that I will, because from the beginning of this journey, I was like, I'm never going to be able to get over these hurdles, and then I did. So I know that the hurdles that are coming up, I'm going to be able to get over, even if it doesn't feel like it. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to create that, like, start a video just to show you guys like what my journey was, what my story is, and what I hope to do on this channel, and hope to show everyone who's watching. And like I said, even if one person watches this and feels a little bit of hope that things are going to be okay, that's more than worth it. And these videos are exactly what I wanted and what I needed when I got diagnosed. And that's like, I'm not going to overthink it or whatever. Like, whatever I wanted to see and whatever I needed to hear when I first got diagnosed is what I want to put out onto this channel. And I want it to be a really positive place, and not ignoring the fact that, you know, this health problem is really real and it can be really awful. I'm not ignoring that at all, but I want it to be like a positive place, because you don't need another person on the internet telling you like how awful it is. You need like those positive things in your life. So hopefully I can be that for someone. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know what sort of videos we're going to plan. I think there's going to be no sort of plan. It's going to be like a vlog style video, and then a sit down video, and then just whatever I feel like sharing, whatever I think that I would have needed to hear, I want to share to someone else. I think that's kind of all I've got to say. And I hope that someone sees this and it helps someone, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think vulnerability is a great thing anyway. And so even if no one sees this, it's got 0 views. Being vulnerable and sharing and opening up and just willing to share my story to help someone is a good thing in the long run anyway. So yes, thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you soon.